Yo, 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 Keith Ferrante here. How are you doing? It's a good week for you, hopefully. We talked last time, if you were listening to the last one, we talked about, right out of my book, Friendship, we talked out of chapter 3, level 1 type of friend, on the friend level, on the friend chart yourself, the level 1 person. And the level 1 on the friendship chart was, I don't want friends. Does any of you not want friends? Put it in the comments if you're like, I'm a level 1 person, I don't want friends, I don't need friends, I'm a loner, Jesus is all I need. It sounds really wonderful and spiritual, doesn't it? But it's not true for some reason. As soon as God created Adam, he said, you know what? He's lonely. It's not good for man to be alone. So right at the start, even though it was God and Adam thinking, man, this is as best as it can get. God, perfect human, without the tainting of sin, and perfect God, all walking together, and God's like, it's not enough. And then he gave him a lady. He says, hey, let's start with the spouse here. So it's like, there's someone else. And then friends begin to come, and family and all of that. So but put down in the feed, whatever feed you're watching or listening to this on, whether you're a level 1 person. And I want to talk to you about level 2 today, so you'll have some choices. Maybe you're not a level 1, you're a level 2, or 3, 4, 5, however far we get. Level 2. So level 1 is someone that says, I don't want friends. There's a variety of reasons. We talked about it in the last session. But in this session, level 2, it's maybe a little bit different, similar. I say I want friends, but I don't. Level 2. I say I want friends, but I don't. On the friendship chart, who are you? Are you a person that just says, matter of fact, I don't want friends? Hey, dude, you want to be my friend? I don't want friends. I don't need you. Get away from me. Actually, my best friend, Pedro, my best friend, when we started off, maybe this is throwing Pedro under the bus. Who knows? I'm sorry. If so, we can edit it out. No. He said he didn't want friends at the start. And I think it was just like, I have enough friends. I don't need friends. But I was at this point where I didn't know Pedro was going to become my best friend. And but I was like, I need friends. I was I don't have any true friends. I had a lot of functional friends, vocational pastors and itinerant preacher kind of friends, and a few business donors. But I realized those weren't friends. Those were like in my business. And when I distinguished the difference, then I went to the I don't have any friends. I was maybe a level 1. I wasn't saying it. I don't want any friends, but the truth of the matter is I really didn't have any friends. So then I made a choice. I need friends. And then I went on a journey, and my first, Pedro, I don't really need any friends. And it was kind of like, we joked around about it now after being friends for a good 10 years. It's that it was sort of like the version of when you asked a girl, like if you're dating or if you're going to have a girlfriend or boyfriend in junior high. For me, a girlfriend, of course. And maybe junior high, he would say, will you be my girlfriend? And he was like, that was kind of like that. It's like, will you be my friend? He wasn't ready to say yes to friendship. So we had to go on that journey. I didn't know any other way to do that. And I don't know if there's to me, I think kind of learned now in trying to go on the journey of friendship. I've learned you don't have to say, hey, I want to be your friend. That's too much. The same thing when someone says, hey, Keith, I want you to be my spiritual mentor. I'm like, that's too much. I'm like, that's like, let's just go on a journey and see if it's a fit rather than, hey, dude, I want you to be my mentor. Will you be my father? And I think that's like a little bit too much. It's just like, let's just see if it's a fit. Same with friends. Instead of saying, will you be my friend? Just see if there is friendship there by the characteristics that are there in that person. Go on a testing of that person's value system. And so instead of saying, hey, I think we're going to be great friends, Just like go on a testing of their values and just hang out. And then if you eventually begin to feel like, hey, they check this box, this box, this box, this box for what a friend is for me, then you can begin to say, hey, friend. So even as I've written this book, I've had to be a little bit more like, even when I was writing an email the other day, and I know it's friend is a nice, endearing language. So I could say on the email, I could say, hi, friends, it's good to see all of you. Well, there's 30,000 people I'm writing this email to. Is that true? What is my definition of friend when I say that? That's not true. So I had to change it. I said, that's not true. Hey, everybody. I said, hey, guys. I changed it to something like that instead of hi, friends, because I'm like, this word actually means something to me. It's not just something I just want to throw around casually. Hey, friend, hey. It's like, I know that it can be used in that context, but I'm not wanting to use it in that context. But level 2, think about this. I say I want friends, but I don't. So say, for instance, you tell someone, this is why I've said it's better not to say you want to be someone's friend or mentored by them. Because sometimes people were like, even in the mentoring category, Keith, I want you to be my mentor. I say, oh, okay. Oh, really? And I would be deceived by that mentor language that they're using. Oh, I want you to be my father. And so then I would make a correction in their life. Then I'd say, oh, really? Oh, you're giving me permission to speak bring some adjustments, some encouragement, some adjustments, a little bit of everything. So as soon as I do an adjustment, they're like, hey, I didn't want that. Get away from me. I don't like you. You're mean. You're rejecting me. I said, oh, I thought you wanted me to be your father. Okay. That's the same in the friend category. I say, I want you to be my friend. And then as soon as you start acting like friends, that person's like, I don't want that. So don't use friend language. It's like somebody that wanted to be my friend in this journey in the last years. We were hanging out a little bit. And then as soon as we got into a disagreement, they just went to fighting in such a unkind way. I'm like, okay, you're not even trying to protect my heart here. And then even if I communicated that, they just went right over the top of that. I realized it's not just on them, it's on me. It's like, okay, why am I putting them this close and giving them this amount of information that then I can have my heart gouged because of the nature of the information? If you give someone too much info, and you don't have enough trust, they will be forced to have to speak into that info many times, unless they have a really intuitive skill set of just listening and realizing, oh, I shouldn't speak into this. So, there's two sides of this. If I am volleying out information that's too vulnerable for somebody, values that they might disagree with, beliefs, my heart, like things that I'm going through, tense things, tender things in my family, things in my own space, temptations. If I'm throwing those out to somebody that's not even been tested yet as a friend, and then they start either giving me advice where I don't want it or not giving me advice where I do want it, so then I feel, oh, they're not really a friend. Is that on them? No, that's on me. I need to get better at vetting them less information, so shortening the information down until the trust is built. And by the way, if you sense any sniffing or scraping or this or that, this is a friend that I have not chosen, is trying to come into the family and has been here for 14 years, trying to be my friend. I have them in level 2 category. I don't really want them to be my friend, but they've lived around here for 14 years. That's our dog, Trista. She occasionally gets into my heart, and then I think, oh, okay, she is a friend. Isn't that what a dog is, a friend? Okay. Anyway, side note. So I think sometimes in this, I say I want friends, but I don't. This is an interesting category where people want to use the language of friendship. They want friendship, but as soon as they go on the journey of friendship, they realize it's too much work, so then they pull back or they push somebody away, however that is. So even in my own journey of saying I want friends, because I do want friends, But when I get into that spot where emotionally I start thinking, I don't like that person. I can't believe that they said that. They responded to me that way. They weren't sensitive to me that way. Then I might want to pull back and say, I don't want them to be my friend. That's a level 2 category. This is too scary. I would rather retreat back to level 1. I'm just going to tell everybody I don't want a friend. I'm an Elijah. I'm a loner. I'm the only one. This is enough, me and God. Now, there are times when I have went complainingly, I don't know if that's a word, but we'll use it. I've went to a meeting, or I've not wanted to go to a meeting and say, those people are just terrible at relationships. I don't want to go see them. It's just too much work. This is a level 2 response. I say I want friends, but I don't really. And then my lovely wife will say, sometimes you can be sort of like them too. You're not quite as far along as you think you are at being great at relationships. So then it kind of helps me with a loving, kind rebuke go, okay, wow, all right. I'm not as good as I think I am at friendship, and sometimes I just want to be a level 2. I say I want friends, but I don't really. Because if you really want friends, you're going to have to work through the awkwardness, and you get in these groups of guys. Sometimes I get in these groups and I'm like, this is just awkward, and I don't think that they like me. I think they're rejecting me. I think, like they're just tolerating me, and you start making all these excuses. And so it's like, I just had to put in my heart, even that statement my wife said, it's like, you know what? I'm not really good at relationships. And so if these guys aren't good, I'm going to give them grace too, because they're not good, I'm not good. And what's strange? Even in that position of my heart changing, the friendships got a lot easier. It was like, that night was like one of my best relational nights. It was just great. I almost let down my judgment. Because sometimes I say I want friends, but I don't, is like I'm trying to get healed, trying to get back in the relational game, but I'm nervous, I'm afraid. I'm wondering if I'm going to be rejected. And so once I get out there, I'm already suspicious that you're not going to accept me. So then if you give me one little statement or one little thought or say one thing that I don't like, I'm like, they rejected me. See, I don't want friends. Friends aren't safe. I'm going back into my cave. So level 2 is a dicey place to live at. You got to keep pushing through this, and you need some people like a spouse that cares about you, a mentor, some other friends to encourage you to move forward in friendship, because friendships are worth it, and to help you see, okay, you know what, you got a little rejection going on there, Keith. You're not that great at friendships yourself. You're kind of suspicious of people. You're a little bit hard to be around. You're not that fun sometimes. You need to lighten up. Okay, so you need somebody to kind of say, you know what, if you want to, in other words, if you want to be a friend, you got to show yourself friendly. And it's like, you're not being very friendly. And this Keith Ferrante, this is, I put out the book, so yes, man, I must be an expert at this. No. You know what? 4 years ago, I wrote this book. I wrote the concepts of it down on an outline form, and then my wife's like, nope, you need to go a little farther on the journey. And so I need another 4 years under my belt before it passed okay, I think it's close enough to congruency where you could put it out. It's so funny, the books that I put out, I think I'm around 25 now, but the different books I've put out, sometimes I'll have a little test in these books, just like this Friendship Chart is really a test. And it's like, I remember once one of my kids was like, as I was showing them one of the tests in one of my books, they're like, Dad, you failed this test. Why? I was like, yeah, I know. I'm not putting this book out because I'm the expert. I'm putting this book out because I'm committed to this journey, and it's true to me, even though I may not be an A+. I'm like, oh, I'm a C- here? Yeah, I can tell I'm a C-, but I'm still going to go at it. I'm going to still try to get a B, an A in this particular subject. I think sometimes, just a side note, for when prophets write a book, you might, now I used to judge some prophets that would write or tell or share concepts that I thought, you ain't that ain't you. They'd be like, oh, relationships are the way. And I'd be like, dude, you're the biggest loner. Like, what do you mean relationships are the way? And then I got in their backstory and realized, man, they were like totally rejected, totally abused, totally like traumatized. They had many years of all this horrific stuff. And I'm like, oh, so for them to say relationships are the way is a huge thing. And even their journey towards that, even though I might look at them thinking that's not very relational, that is huge relational progress for them because they came from trauma. So I stopped judging prophets by their level of congruency to their message, because sometimes you don't know. And so you might, for instance, if somebody that's had amazing friendships for like 70 years, they're just a natural friend, and they just have lots of friends, and they're like legitimately easy to be around, and like people just like them, and they like people, and they have close friends, and this and that. If they were to write this book, it would be a different story than someone like me that was like loner and is suspicious and has to bat down his suspicions to even think someone is worth being a friend with. And like, you know, like for someone like that, which one would you think you'd want to listen to more? Now, I think both of them probably could have good wisdom, but from a different position. Someone that's just been, it's like someone that like, let me say it this way, and we'll wrap up on this. But if someone lived in generations of wealth, they've had, their family was just wealth handed down for generations. It's wealth. There's tons of wealth for generations. And so, yes, would they have some amazing stories about wealth and some amazing pointers on wealth? Yes. But say you got someone like me, that's first generation coming into abundance and breaking through poverty and trying to come into mindsets of wealth and understanding and breaking through into different levels of wealth and going for other levels. Which one would you think was more finely tuned into a journey relevant to you if you're trying to figure out how to get wealth? The one that's been in 4 generations of wealth, or the one that's maybe steps ahead of you? Now, I think both are valid. You could get key nuggets from the Warren Buffetts or whoever it is. It's like had 4 generations of wealth. I don't know who has, but like versus you, that's, you know, someone that's first generation wealth. I don't know. I think there's a congruency to someone that's just a first generation person pursuing a message. So all that to say, this message that I'm sharing with you comes from my real journey of having to wrestle through this. I have been at a level 2. Say you want friends, but really don't. I've been at a level 1. I don't want friends. This is too painful. But I am continually going to the point where I think I am at a level 4, and I'm fighting for a level 5. And I'll share those other levels in next sessions. And if you want to if you don't want to wait, get the book. Go to Amazon, get the book, Friendship. You can get it in audio form, Kindle, which is online reader form, or physical copy. I always love to have a physical copy. But and let us know where you're at. Are you a level 1, a level 2? Put it in the comments right now. Where do you think you're currently at? Maybe you feel like those levels are good, but they don't really relate to you. Well, soon we will hear more levels. We will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.